Hey, what's going on YouTube, and welcome to another Season 7 League of Legends Champion Guide. In this one, I'm going to cover the recently reworked Jungle Warwick, the Uncaged Wrath of Zaun.
Blood runs, they all run.
Warwick has a really good jungle clear and amazing sustain, which allows him to go for a rejuvenating bead instead of those normal health pots. He's a very strong duelist and has absolutely amazing ganks post level 6. He's also a jungler that will bring some nice global pressure, not because he has a global ultimate, but because he has such high movement speed from his W. Finally, Warwick is one of those champions that scales really well, and even in the late game, he will remain a rather big threat. Warwick, however, has very mediocre ganks pre-level 6 because all he brings is some movement speed and a low duration fear ability. It can sometimes be pretty hard to catch up if you're behind because you do have to be in the middle of fights, and he is rather mana hungry as well. If played correctly though, he can be all over the map, creating havoc for the enemy team. For your Masteries, you have two different options, and the first one is 18 Ferocity and 12 Resolve. You'll grab Fervor of Battle, which works great from the passive attack speed from your W, your on-hit damage from your passive, and all of that damage per hit on your ultimate. All of these abilities work great with Fervor of Battle, and it's easily one of the best picks on Warwick. Another solid Mastery setup would be 18 Resolve and 12 Cunning, getting Strength of the Ages as your Keystone Mastery. This Mastery setup will make you just a little bit tankier since you will gain a shield whenever you jump in for a team fight. For my rune page, I like to go for attack damage reds, armor yellows, magic resist blues, and attack speed quints. You'll get some really nice solid damage from that attack damage and attack speed, and some nice tankiness from the armor and the magic resist. One viable option would be getting CDR blues instead of that magic resist. You won't be as tanky, but you'll have some nice CDR. For your summoner spells, Smite is of course a requirement on Warwick whenever you play him in the jungle. It will allow you to buy your jungler item, and Smite is great for staying sustained throughout that jungle and securing objectives like Dragon and Baron. Ghost is a great option with Smite. It'll give you a decent escape and will allow you to chase enemies even faster. When you combine it with Blood Hunt, you can get to low targets insanely quickly, and you'll have a longer leap range since your infinite duress scales off of your current move speed. Instead of Ghost, you could get Flash because Ghost was recently nerfed and it is a more reliable escape, but Ghost will give you quicker ganks and increase that range of your ultimate. Warwick's passive is Eternal Hunger, and it's great for its on-hit damage and healing. Warwick's basic attacks deal between 10 and 44 based on level, bonus magic damage on hit. When he's below 50% max health, Warwick's basic attacks will also heal him for the same amount, and it will be tripled when he's below 25% max health. So in short, this is a great way to add some extra damage on your attacks, and it'll also keep you sustained through the jungle, which is rather nice as well. Since we do go for a rather tanky build, whenever you are on low health, with this increased healing, you're going to be insanely hard to bring down. Your Q ability is Jaws of the Beast, and has some really good damage ratios and a really strong heal. When activated, Warwick dashes to the target enemy and bites them, dealing magic damage, applying on-hit effects, and healing himself for a portion of the damage dealt. If you hold this ability, Warwick will lock his teeth into his target and use them to swing around to their far side. Warwick is unable to act while swinging around his target and will move wherever they move until he jumps off. This ability has a 120% AD ratio, a 90% AP ratio, and also deals 6 to 10% of the target's maximum health. This is your primary way of dealing some extra damage on the target, and therefore we max it first. Warwick's W is Blood Hunt, and it's fantastic for its bonus movement speed and bonus attack speed. This ability passively grants bonus attack speed against all enemies below 50% max health. Enemies below that health threshold are also Blood Hunted, granting him out of combat bonus movement speed while moving towards them, as well as highlighting their position for his team. This movement and attack speed is then tripled against enemy champions below 20% max health. You can also activate this ability to mark the nearest enemy champion with Blood Hunt as well, regardless of their health, for 8 seconds. That means if you are going for a gank and people do have a large health pool, you'll want to activate this ability so you get that movement speed and attack speed. Your E ability is Primal Howl, and this is your main way of CCing the enemy champion, outside of your ultimate of course. When activated, Warwick reduces all incoming damage for 2.5 seconds or until Primal Howl is reactivated. Once the damage reduction ends, Warwick unleashes a howl that causes all nearby enemies to flee for 1 second. Landing Infinite Duress will automatically reactivate Primal Howl, but the target will not flee. So there is of course two main ways of using this ability. The first one is to reduce a bunch of damage because the damage reduction at max level has 55%, which is pretty damn huge. When you're coming in for a gank and you don't have your ultimate available, you'll want to have this activated as well, so when you are near the enemy champion, you can reactivate it and flee them for 1 second. Warwick's ultimate is Infinite Duress, and this is your high damage gap closer that also scales off of your movement speed. When you activate this ability, Warwick leaps in the target direction, suppressing the first enemy champion he collides with for 1.5 seconds. Warwick will channel over the duration, dealing magic damage to his target and applying on-hit effects 3 times while healing himself for all the damage dealt during Infinite Duress. In total, this will have over a 160% bonus AD ratio and a range of 250% of your current movement speed. That means if you activate Ghost and some other things, the range on this ability can actually be rather large. In a team fight, use this to get onto a backline carry or help peel for your carries. For your skill order, we first put a point into our ultimate whenever we can at 6, 11, and 16. Then for its high damage and healing, we max our Q ability. We'll want to follow that up with our W ability because the cooldown goes down a ton when we level it, we get a bunch of bonus attack speed and movement speed. Then finally, you'll want to save your E ability for last unless you really need that damage reduction. The fear duration stays the same at all ranks, so unless you need that damage reduction really badly, save this one for last. For my jungle route, I try to rush level 6 as fast as I can because your ganks will get a hell of a lot stronger when you have Infinite Duress. If I'm doing blue side first, I like to do the blue buff, then Gromp, Wolves, Razorbeaks, red buff, and then either Krugs or gank top. I'll only really gank the enemy top laner if he's really pushed or if my top needs a counter gank. After you're done with your full clear, go back, buy, and clear again for your level 6. Post level 6 ganking is incredibly easy on Warwick. It'll usually just come down to landing your Infinite Duress on the enemy laner. You can activate your Blood Hunt for all that bonus movement speed, which will also make your ultimate have a longer range. Pre-level 6 ganks are going to be harder, but you want to use your Blood Hunt yet again if they do have a high health pool and you need that bonus movement speed. At this point, you'll want to get onto the enemy champion with your Jaws of the Beast, and when you need to, fear them with your Primal Howl. If you did take Ghost, remember that you can always activate that as well to get a bigger ultimate range. In teamfights, you have 2 main options, and the first one is engaging. Now, Warwick can easily fill the role of an engager by using his Infinite Duress on a high kill priority target that his team can follow up on. You can even use Flash if you did take it to quickly catch them off guard. After the ultimate is over, stick onto the target or move on to another with your Jaws of the Beast. Now, you of course also have the option of peeling. You can also make a really good peeler if a high damage champion gets onto one of your carries. Once somebody jumps onto your AD or AP carry, use your Infinite Duress to suppress that target. Hopefully with your damage and a couple of your teammates, you can bring down that target and then you can get onto another carry afterwards. Now let's look at a couple hard matchups, and first up is Lee Sin. Lee Sin's going to be a hard matchup for you because you're going to be trying to rush level 6 so you have good ganks, and Lee Sin already has good ganks. He's going to put out a ton of early ganks and a lot of pressure on your lanes, and you're going to have to try to catch up. Try to keep track of where he is and counter gank whenever you can, but you do need to rush your level 6. Next up is Vi, and she's easily one of the best junglers in the entire game right now, and she has a great ultimate as well, except it's point and click. She has multiple ways to knock you off when you are suppressing a target, so usually you'll want to try to counter engage her. If she jumps onto one of your carries, usually I like to suppress her and have you and your team kill her, and then move on to another target afterwards. Keep in mind though, with her shield and her Courage of the Colossus, it may be really hard to bring her down, so you have to keep track of her items. Next here we have Hecarim, and he's a champion that relies on his movement speed as well, and usually he can counter gank you. Try to keep track of where he is on the map, because if he does come in for a counter gank, usually it's going to be pretty devastating. Then of course he's also able to knock you off a target with his charge or his ultimate, so usually you'll want to try to counter gank him so your ultimate isn't wasted. Last here is Kha'Zix, and he's hard just for his pure damage. Unless you have your ultimate, you have to be very careful of where Kha'Zix is because you're going to easily lose 1v1s. With his evolved Q, he's absolutely going to destroy you in a 1v1, so you have to make sure you are in numbers. If he jumps onto one of your isolated targets in a team fight, all you have to do is use your ultimate to jump onto him and delete him afterwards. Now let's finish off this guide with our item build, which starts with a Hunter's Machete, Rejuvenation Bead, and a Warding Totem. As previously mentioned, Warwick's jungle sustain is pretty damn strong, and he can get away with a Rejuvenation Bead. He doesn't even need health pots. For our first buys, we want to get a Skirmisher's Saber and a Tiamat. The Tiamat will really increase your jungle clear speed, and a Rejuvenation Bead is part of it, so you can get it pretty quickly. For our core build, we enchant that Skirmisher Saber with our Cinder Hulk, then get a Titanic Hydra and a Spirit Visage. The Cinder Hulk and Titanic Hydra will make you a very tanky champion and also increase your damage at the same time. You have an absolute ton of healing in your kit as Warwick, so Spirit Visage is a must buy to increase that healing even more. For your jungler items, you could also get a Blood Razor or Warrior enchantment as well. Both are really solid if you do want more damage instead. For our boot options, we have Merc Treads against AP and CC, Ninja Tabbies against high AD, Boots of Swiftness for all around in combat movement speed, and Boots of Mobility for quicker ganks and longer ultimates. For our item pool though, we first have the Dead Man's Plate, which is a great way to get a health pool and armor, but also increase your movement speed, which in return increases your ultimate's range. If you're looking to add some extra damage, Trinity Force is a great thing to buy as well on Warwick. It gives you everything you need, and that Sheen proc is pretty decent as well. If you instead want some attack speed and lifesteal, Blade of the Ruined King is a fantastic buy, especially against tanky teams. For some attack speed and magic resist with on-hit damage, you could always get a Wit's End as well. It's also a fantastic buy on Warwick. Iceborne Gauntlet is a pretty decent buy on him as well, and it does give you some nice cooldown reductions so you can ultimate and use your other abilities more often. Of course, if we need armor and health, Randuin's is also a fantastic buy, and for the late game, a Guardian Angel is great as well and has armor and magic resist. For my example full build though, I like to take that core build, add a Dead Man's Plate, and then pick up a random item that works well for my 6th slot. In this case it was Randuin's because there was a very AD heavy team, but you could easily get one of the damage items there as well. But that, ladies and gentlemen, covers everything I've got for Season 7 Jungle Warwick. Don't forget to check out the video description below for a link to all of my social medias. I do Riot Point giveaways on my Twitter, so that's one you guys should definitely check out, and I do also have a Discord, so if you'd like to talk anything League of Legends, please hop in there as well. But other than that, thank you guys a ton for watching the video, I hope you guys did enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!